I'm Craig Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact, focused on personal growth, my workbook series, The Knowledge, will help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
I'm Coach Margaret.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And today we're going to be talking about trauma and the avoidant client.
Okay.
All right, so Margaret has got some good research from a book that she read for you all. So make sure you give her a thumbs up for all of her hard research that she spends every week doing against her will.
Yep.
No, she loves it.
I love it.
What do you got, Margaret? What do we have this time?
This is the third installment from this book. I've been talking about avoidant folks, as you surely noticed for the last two times we've gotten together. This is the third and final piece, although I'd be happy to go over any of it again if it would be helpful. And remember, the book is called Trauma and the Avoidant Client. That kind of tells you what we're talking about here. The major premise of the book is that avoidant attachment style is the result of intrafamilial trauma. Okay?
What does that mean, Margaret?
That means bad things happened in your house when you were little. That's what that translates into.
Despite your partner telling you, my childhood was good.
My childhood was great. And people who do come out of a traumatic childhood often want to look like they are independent, don't need anybody, and above all, they're normal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? The client makes every effort to keep the trauma locked in there and to present as independent, strong, and normal. The other thing that avoidant folks do is to deactivate their attachment system. If you're a little kid and every time you go to your major attachment figures, your mom or whoever else is a caretaker for you, and you get pushed away, you eventually give up. Because asking for help and then being rejected is extremely painful, okay? So this is another reason they want to present as totally independent, okay? So if they get into a relationship and they begin to get attached, it can bring back all those earlier rejections and disappointments. So what they've said to themselves is, well, it doesn't work to be attached to people. They're not there for you anyway, so why would I ever do that again? Because all I ever get is hurt, all right? So when things are going really well and you feel like you're doing well together, the avoidant person may be terrified even though you're pleased at how things may be going. Because once those warm and fuzzy feelings start to come up in a relationship, that can reactivate the attachment system. And with the reactivation of that can come the memories of the trauma. Okay?
What does that mean?
What that means is, if you're dating someone and you're avoidant, things are great as long as it doesn't get too close. But if it gets too close, then you start to remember the other times in your life when you attached to someone. And in your case, it was never a good experience because they turned their back on you somehow or outright rejected you. So when you start to experience that again, when you start to attach to somebody, I think stuff comes up that says, you better not do that. You've been through this before and it wasn't safe. Okay? Your partner, unless you're able to tell them, which would be wonderful, doesn't have any idea what's going on and usually blame themselves. Okay, what did I say, what did I do that made him or her do this? Okay, things were going great, and that's the really hardest part. Things are going great, according to the partner. I don't understand why they would pick now to break up. Okay, because it was going too great, it was too close. All right, and it's a no-win for anybody. Okay, therefore these people will avoid attachment feelings, the warm fuzzy feelings, for fear that it will reactivate their childhood attachment system with all its pain and rejection. And I almost always ask people if they know each other's life story. And if someone is with an avoidant, what I usually hear is, well, he didn't tell me very much, or she didn't tell me very much. Made it sound like it was, not great, but certainly not terrible either. And I didn't want to pry. Okay. Now here's what I have to say about that. If you're serious with someone and considering a long-term relationship, you have to pry as politely and gently as you can. All right? If you care about this person, you need to know their life story. They need to know yours.
Yeah.
Okay? And yes, we've all been told not to pry, but you wouldn't believe how often I hear that. So.
And I've talked about that often, particularly with curiosity.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and curiosity is a very good and big thing in our book.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be curious about each other, you know? During one of the times when things are going well between you, he or she may abruptly disappear or break up with no satisfactory explanation.
Shocking when it happens.
Absolutely shocking. The partner is of course left stunned and confused because things were going very well. The problem is that things got too close for the avoidant, and it is hard for us to wrap our mind around that. Normal logic tells us that if people are together and enjoying being together, why possibly would they want to break up?
Doesn't make any logical
Doesn't
sense.
make any logical sense.
I loved you too much.
Yeah, I loved you too. Yeah, I loved you too much. Yeah, so I'm breaking up with you.
Yeah.
And that's what's so mind-boggling about it. The way an avoidant person thinks is often counterintuitive, a word made famous by Mr. Craig. Counterintuitive to our being taught that if you're nice to somebody, they will be nice back. And who of us wasn't taught that? Okay? We are not taught about people being frightened of closeness. All right? And so we're very shocked when it happens. So, if you love an avoidant partner, what should you do?
Panic?
Yeah, run in the other direction. But of course you're so sad if you love an avoidant partner. It's very hard.
Yeah.
The answer is, first and foremost, you have to take care of yourself and look out for your own interests, because it's very easy to end up accommodating this person because you feel like the relationship is fragile. And it's not helpful to either you or the partner. Okay? So while they don't really mean to be destructive, a long-term, on-again, off-again, close-distant, distant-close relationship can become emotionally abusive, and it's not okay to tolerate that. Okay? So, if you love an avoidant partner, the first best thing to do is take a look at your own life and your pattern of anxious attachment. This is not, I repeat, not because your partner's behavior is in any way your fault. The suggestion is simply for you to make things easier for yourself. The most dangerous aspect of this arrangement is that you can begin to internalize your partner's messages that there is something wrong with you. Okay? And that's what we see again and again.
Oh, yeah.
You're too clingy. You need too much from me. I don't know why you need this much attention.
And there's a lot of reality distortion.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Can you say more about that?
Well, the reality distortion gets really tricky because they make you feel like things happen that aren't true.
Right.
Or they'll blame you for things that didn't really happen.
Yep.
And then they leave you feeling like it was all your fault. And that happens a lot.
Yes, it does.
Or if they don't tell you anything at all, and then you're left guessing, was it this thing that I said? Was it this thing that I
Exactly.
did?
Or was it that thing that I did? You ask for too much. Why can't you be more independent? Okay? Or whatever. There are all sorts of things. But unfortunately, and I don't know that they even consciously mean to do this, but in their desperation not to get too close, they want to stay with you, but they can't be asked to give you too much emotionally.
Yeah.
Because they're frozen and hope to stay that way. The first best thing to do, yes, take a look at yourself. I spoke with someone the other day who said she felt like as soon as her avoidant partner was with someone else, he would be fine. This is very unlikely. And and very much to have internalized his complaints. She kept saying when he gets with somebody else, he's going to be fine, which means she had internalized all his complaints about her behavior. It means you've totally blamed yourself, taken on the responsibility. The person is a grown-up and owns his half, his share of what goes on in the relationship. Unfortunately, women are well-trained, women especially, but men do it too, are well-trained to blame themselves for a partner's dysfunction. All right? We're all well-trained to do that.
But this is interesting too, because we often hear, oh, what if my avoidant ex goes off with somebody else?
Right.
Will it work with them?
And it feels like it will.
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
you're feeling like, oh my gosh, they've run off into the sunset. They're going to be together forever.
Most unlikely.
Yeah.
Because if they were avoidant with you, and I wrote down here literally almost what Craig said. No, they didn't go off into the sunset with someone else. They are avoidant still. They are avoidant still. They may have some short-term relationships, and oftentimes after coming out of a more serious long-term relationship, an avoidant will go out and have several short-term relationships which are much more comfortable with them. But the likelihood that he's going to be fine when he gets with the next person is simply not there. And we hear avoidants say, well, anxious people all the time say, well, what if he goes off with someone else? It probably won't last, unfortunately, you know, for everybody involved. What do we see in practice? We see some things that don't seem to be well documented in the literature, sparse though it is. This book that I read, the man had done an enormous amount of research, and there's really very little written on this topic, or it's very surface. Okay? Avoidant partners do come back to relationships when they have had a chance to recover from a terrible brush with closeness. And perhaps their attachment system has been reactivated by something that happens in their life. So they may have had a good encounter with a family member, but they're likely to come back to you when they, felt a warm, fuzzy feeling again. All right? Does no contact work with avoidance partners? Absolutely. The general consensus to what research is there is absolutely that it does. If a partner is used to you taking him back or her back, no matter what he does or doesn't do to change things, no contact, no reaching out can be a powerful wake-up call. Okay? It's very important to remember that. Okay? Because what we hear day in and day out is, if I let him go, he'll never reach out to me again. You don't know that. And it's entirely possible that he can. And the very act of calling him on it brings it to his attention that this might be a problem. Yeah, what if I never hear from him again? You have to be willing to take that chance. You might never hear from him again. Chances are you will, but don't let him terrify you with that thought.
Yeah, because you know, you'll kind of look weak to that person.
That's exactly right.
Because, you know, the avoidance value independence.
Yes.
And so if you look like you can't be independent, it's going to kind of be like, it's a turnoff.
Yep.
Right. And I also think a lot of people don't think that those with avoidant attachment styles can get anxious.
Oh, they get
Certainly
anxious.
can.
They
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, separation anxiety is built into all of us. Yes, good point, Coach Victoria.
And anxiety in the relationship, why do you think they needed to get the space? It was anxiety, right? But we don't really think about the avoidance being anxious, but they are.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like we all fit into nice, neat categories, but avoidance also have separation anxiety. On the other hand, you don't want to put up with this mixed signal, yes, no, maybe, ambivalence for years of your life. I have heard numerous instances where this kind of thing has gone on literally for years, the longest being 20.
Wow.
Okay? We talked to that woman a few weeks ago. There have been numerous breakups and reunions over this time, but nothing had ever changed. Okay? And what we hear is if I set limits with him, if I tell him I won't put up with this, I may never hear from him again. Well, you have to take that risk because you can't let it become emotionally abusive to you. Okay? And I think as Craig very intelligently points out here, they also won't respect it. Okay?
But can you imagine 20 years how isolating that could be?
Absolutely.
And you're so invested in that person after 20 years
Absolutely.
that you're not going to want anybody else.
This last case I'm talking about, and it's not by any means isolated, they had been engaged a couple of times. And then the avoidant partner had called off the engagement every time, but still wanted to be together on their terms. Okay? I can't give you what you need, he says. We're better off as friends.
Boy, they say that one a lot.
Right?
Yeah.
We're better off as friends. Often turns into friends with benefits, which means that the avoidant party has managed to keep the relationship without making any kind of commitment or taking any emotional risks.
They get what they want.
Exactly.
And you're miserable.
Yeah.
Right. But somehow in your brain you're thinking that I have to hold on to him somehow. Not at your expense. Okay? This is a grown-up who needs to do his or her half. All right?
Yeah. And many of you might also think this is better than having nobody. But is it?
No. No, not when you letting someone else disrespect you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even if they come back, you want them to be invested in the relationship.
Absolutely.
You know?
Your needs are important too.
Yeah, because if they're not, you're just going to be unhappy like you were earlier in the
Exactly.
relationship.
Yeah, nothing's going to change.
Yeah.
And I think there's always a hope or even a belief that something will eventually change if you just love them enough, which of course is exactly what you can't do. It will smother them.
Yeah.
A little bit at a time. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, remember Bowlby's 3 stages of infant behavior after a loss. Remember the one where we talked about mother leaving the room and how the babies behaved. The stages of being left were protest, where the heck did you go? Despair, I don't know how I'm going to get you back. And then finally detachment, which means I give up on attaching anyway. All right? When the avoidant baby sees mom again, when she returns to the playroom, he does not get affectionate with her, but he stays in proximity to her. Is that not similar to let's be friends? It's to stay in proximity. All right? I'm going to end this because I can't handle it, and I'm kind of mad at you, but I'm going to stay as near to you as I can. Okay? All right. You can help an avoidant partner, and he is more likely to return if you go no contact than if you don't. Okay? A very hard concept to get across. The biggest danger is that you come to believe that it is your fault, and therefore you owe him or her and take them back once again. It's not a favor to them, no matter how much they beg, no matter how they look like a kid and how appealing they appear to be. Taking them back does not help. Again, I'm not saying that avoidant people are bad or that anxious folks should not love them. It can work out if both parties are willing to work at it, but you can't do it single-handed. Okay? You can't just reach out to him and have it help, because he doesn't respond to all of the things we're taught would be helpful. Okay? Dr. Mueller, who wrote this book, ends the book with a great quote. The challenge of helping an avoidant person, whether you are a partner or a professional, is to help them find a way to tell a story too painful to speak, but too compelling to ignore. Okay? So that's where the avoidant is stuck. They have this horrible history, and it's very difficult for them to tell the story. But they also cannot get it to go away. They keep trying to push it down, which only ever works briefly. All right? So it will be in their way of ever having a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
Okay? But I love the way he put it. A story too painful to speak, but too compelling to ignore. And it's important to remember there's no story, there's nothing around that is too horrible to talk about. It loses some of its power the minute you begin to talk about it. Okay?
Good stuff.
Yeah. But it's very hard. All the logical stuff goes out when you love somebody. I know. But you got to remember to keep your brain with you at all times.
And you got to love yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you like this video, leave a comment and let us know. Margaret did a lot of research for this one. Give her a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and of course, when you want to get our help personally, you can get it at my website, askcraig.net. Sign up for the coaching option that works best for you. I do email coaching and I do Skype. Coach Margaret is available for Skype coaching.
If you think I can be helpful, please sign up.
And Coach Victoria will continue to train with us.
I'll be here.
But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
I'm Coach Margaret.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon. To get my help personally, Go to AskCraig.net and click on Schedule Coaching and choose the option that works best for you. I do email coaching or Skype. To schedule a coaching with Margaret, click on Margaret on the top of the page and order a Skype with her. For the Knowledge Creative Healing course, click on the link at the top of the page and click Get Started Now.